Hello, everybody, and welcome to an all-new episode of the Cosmic Force, episode 11. I was supposed to say last week that we finally reached double digits, so I'll mention this week. We've hit double digits. Tonight, we talk about the High Republic, our thoughts there, try to be as spoiler-free as possible, as well as an interesting little segment that was featured recently on the High Republic show. But first, let's go around the room like we do every day or every show and say hi to all of our guests. Emma, how are you doing this week?
Hello, everyone. I am doing great. Always excited to talk about some High Republic. I've got my yellow lights on in the background if you're watching the video, and they don't look super great, but we're going with the theme.
Yes, yeah, I've also got my yellow lights, and they look as expected. They're not
Yeah.
very good. So it's not something that we're going to be doing that often, but with the High Republic, you have to have the gold representing. Caleb, how's your week going so far?
It's doing great. I would have a few High Republic flags, but I don't think those have hit the production line yet. So when they do arrive, I'll probably snag maybe one or two of them. It'd be nice to kind of have a, I've got the Empire one right here. So if I could get like a one of those Nihil flags, I think that'd be pretty dope.
Oh, I would be more excited to see a Nihil flag
Like,
behind
honestly,
you than I would a High Republic.
The problem is that you'd probably have to get in and have like these nice clean edges. So you'd have to take a lighter and like singe a couple edges, cut a couple holes so it's all raggedy looking first.
Yeah, you got to go with the aesthetic, absolutely. And last but not least, our producer Jacob. How are we doing this week?
Pretty well. I think my dog is very active right now, which doesn't. Hi, dog. So hopefully she doesn't make this show too difficult for me. But other than that, yeah, pretty great.
another long-standing Youtini staple is our pets being featured in the show. We haven't had very many pets featured on the Cosmic Force, but I know the Living Force has quite a few. Morden is a local legend, so pets are always welcome in this show. So if this is your first time joining us, welcome. We are a Star Wars comic podcast broadcasting live right here on youtube.com/Youtini every Wednesday night at 8 o'clock. If you can't join us live, that's okay. Our videos are always available on the YouTube channel, so make sure you subscribe and you are able to watch the entire playlist. Or if you can't make it to YouTube, head over to your favorite podcasting platform where all of the shows come out every week on Fridays, I believe. It's 11 weeks, and I still don't know when our podcast goes live, but that's okay because we prefer you here live with us on YouTube. We also encourage you to join our Discord with more than 1,000 members, and by going to why can I never find the link to this?
Youtini.com/Discord.
Thank you. You think by now I would put the link in this part of the show notes, but that's what happens when I
okay, I got you.
I log on at 7:55 when my computer isn't working. If you enjoy seeing what you get from the other shows, because this is surely is not entertaining, head over to patreon.com/Youtini where for as little as $5 a month, you can gain exclusive access to the entire Youtini podcast network of shows, as well as exclusive merch and community activities. So, like I said at the top of the show, it's gonna be fun tonight. We're kind of gonna go over the High Republic. We're going to be as non-spoilery as possible. So we're not going to tell you all the specifics, but we're going to kind of go over what our favorite parts are, our favorite characters and things like that. But before we do that, let's go ahead and check in with Jacob, who has our weekly pull list. Jacob, what do we have available at the comic shops this week?
Yeah, so we got 2 comics today. We have Star Wars number 14, War of the Bounty Hunters Part 1, Save Solo, written by Charles Soule. Pencils by Ramon Rosanas. The cover is by Carlo Pagulayan, and the Pride cover by Stephen Byrne, and colorist Rochelle Rosenberg, and letterer Clayton Cowles. So here is our Pride cover of the week. It is featuring Lando. So
that's so cool.
Another great entry.
Very cool.
I noticed while I was putting the show together that in the credits page, it's the second page or first interior page of every Star Wars comic book, they have all the people accredited, and there'll be the A cover person called out, and then they'll have a bunch of names for variant covers. And there's, at least for this month, I noticed there's specifically a call out for the Pride cover artist. So makes my job a little easier finding who that person is. But it's also cool to see them specifically called out in that fashion and not just kind of
very cool
lost in the sea of variant cover artists. But yeah, so there we got that one. And then we also have the High Republic Adventures number 5. This is kind of the end of the first High Republic Adventures story arc. It's written by Daniel Jose Older, with art by Harvey Tolabau, and colors from Rebecca Nalty, and letters from Jake Wood. So if you want to pick up any of those on Comixology, as always, the links for those are down in the YouTube description.
I have not had a chance to read High Republic Adventures 5, but based off of the Discord, some stuff happens today. It was a pretty interesting book from what I'm understanding through the blocked out and spoiler tags on the channel.
It is,
yeah, for sure.
exciting.
Daniel Jose Older is absolutely killing it with this series, you guys. I mean, and we're going to talk about it later for sure, but oh my gosh, it was really great.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Jacob, for letting us know what is available. So now we're going to go ahead and move on to what we're loving this week. And we're going to start with Art of the Week. And I actually am doing something special this week for my Art of the Week. My son's birthday is this weekend, and he has provided me with some art that I normally have behind me here. But I figured I would at least make it a little bit more pronounced this week in honor of his birthday. So happy early birthday, Mason. These are 2 of the pieces of art that he has created for me, and he is my artist of the week this week. So yeah, wanted to do something special for his birthday this week. So happy birthday.
This is cute as shit. You need to get a one of the white blank variant covers and have him do a sketch on it.
Oh,
Oh.
that's a great idea. I love that. I'm now gonna have to add that to my variant pull list.
They're
in
you
the
can get them.
upcoming-
They're like usually cover price. They're not anything crazy. So just pick an issue you like and then have them do something on the front. That'd be cute.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So Emma, what is your art of the week this week?
Yeah, that's awesome, Tyler. Happy early birthday, Mason. I love that art. That's so great. So my art this week is from Star Wars Adventures issue titled Endangered. And the pencils are by Sean Galloway and Jamal Peppers. And I really liked this because, well, first of all, I love the Ghost. Who doesn't love the Ghost? It's like the Millennium Falcon of animation. It's great. But I just like how it's drawn here. It's almost like watercolors, but maybe even softer than that. Something about the art style just really caught my eye, and with the cargo ship, uh, sort of looking like a Star Destroyer, but extra thick, I guess. I
And
don't
is
know.
that
I like the design of that ship, and I like the art style here.
are those shipping crates in the
Yeah.
back
I
of the
think
picture
so.
there?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
there was like a Rebels arc where they like hijacked one of these. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. And they're like held in there magnetically or something like that. It's
it was the one with oh god, it was
Holdo. A Hondo, right?
yeah, Hondo
oh
and his
AP5.
Hondo and his little Ugnaught.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think isn't that how they found AP5, the droid? He was working
Think so,
on that ship.
yeah.
Yeah, so I like that ship. It's very interesting, and I like the way it was drawn here for sure.
Yeah, this is really interesting. And yeah, you gotta love the Ghost. Rebels is not in the Youtini community, but Rebels is underrated. Let's just put that out there. So
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Caleb, what do you have for us this week?
I got an interesting one here. It might be a little relevant towards the end of this whole episode, but this one comes from let me get it right here. It comes from Star Wars Agent of the Empire Hard Targets issue number 2. This was a little Dark Horse series where essentially they take James Bond and put him into the Star Wars universe. So our main hero, Agent Cross, is trying to protect a young kid, and he winds up in the middle of a giant. It's almost out of nowhere, like this giant sky battle between the security and these massive fleet of pirates. Pulls some Han Solo kind of stuff. It's a really fun and interesting little arc. The second arc, Hard Targets, was way better than the first one, in my opinion. But it's just like a wild sort of like, let's take like some genre that we're very familiar with already, and then put it into the Star Wars universe. So Agent of the Empire, definitely worth a read if you can find it.
Nice. Yeah, that art looks it's been a while since I've seen that many characters in that great a detail on a page like that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right, Jacob, what about you this week?
So this week I'm rocking a panel from Star Wars 2015 issue number 68 with art here by Phil Noto. I just got to this, like the home stretch of this series was so good for me, and I just love this little panel reminiscent of the binary sunset moment in episode 4. So really enjoyable moment with Luke here. So that was my art of the week. Means we now get to throw it back to Caleb and show off
yes,
the community submission.
Yeah, this was from our very own Timothy from 2015, the same Star Wars one as yours, but way earlier, issue 12. This was done by Stuart Immonen and colors by Justin Ponser. This was a fun little arc where they go to Gracchus the Hunt's arena, essentially.
Yeah.
And an EMP goes off, and now everyone to fight for their lives has to use lightsabers. So we get this really fun, like, color splash page of everyone sabering up and just doing a lot of really exciting action, a lot of exciting movement there. So that was a really great pick, Timothy. So thank you for that. And of course, as always, hit us up on our Discord, hit us up on our Twitter at the Cosmic Force Show. Showing off the merchandise, and you can win your very own comic code. So hit us up, we'll reach back to you and make sure you are rewarded not only for the glory of being shown up in this segment, but also with a free comic whenever you're ready. So that's what's going on with the community. Hit us up anytime you got.
Yes, we've gotten a lot of great fan community art in the last couple of weeks. I really appreciate everybody participating in that and really showing your support for the show. So thank you for that. So now we're going to go into what we're reading, and My segment's going to be pretty short because I haven't been reading anything because I was out of town this weekend at my other son's hockey tournament. So I was able to, since all of my comics are physical, I didn't want to take any of them on the plane. So I did read a couple of the Power Rangers comics that Jared had so graciously shared with us last week. Thank you, Jared. But yeah, that was a lot of fun. Fortunately well, I didn't get a chance to do any reading. Like I said, it was a lot of fun. My son's hockey team finished third in the tournament that they were playing in. So yeah, it was a good time and just not a lot of time for reading. So Emma, I'm going to pass it over to you and to once again make up for my lack of reading.
Well, I mean, I don't have as much as I normally do because, I mean, last week, man, that was a lot. Shadows of the Empire, comics, novels, so I took a little break, but I did read the 2 newest issues today, The High Republic Adventures #5 and Star Wars #14. And I gave them both 5 stars on Goodreads. I seriously enjoyed these two. I think they're both causing quite a bit of conversation. Probably The High Republic Adventures more so than Star Wars, but Star Wars has a cool little something happening. We won't spoil it. So yeah, that's just about all that I've read this week. Hopefully I'm going to read some more this week. That's the goal.
I mean, what's left for you to read at this point?
Good question. Legends? I should read more Legends for sure. So that's what I've read this week. Caleb, what have you read this week?
I've kind of slowed down a little bit on the comic rolls. I've caught up with most of the 2015 runs, just a couple issues here and there that I need to, just finish up and get that knocked out. Kind of apropos to what, again, this segment, as with my previous one, what might be happening down the line. I'm reading through Last Shot by Daniel Jose Older, and that's a lot of fun. The audiobook is just a lot of really good forward momentum, lots of great Han and Lando moments, some of the best characters. So it's a really good read. So if you're looking for a book recommendation, The Last Shot by DSO, really good. Jacob, how about you?
Yeah, so there we go. Maybe. There we go. Yeah, so I challenged myself last week to read about 50 comic books, which would take me to the end of the 2015 Star Wars era and get up to like all the 2020 current arcs. And I'm happy to say I did finish that. This is my my comic tracker. The 11th I had read 365 issues. And today I've read 413 issues in canon. So I did it. It was a lot of fun. If you're wondering what this big flash stretch is, that was me planning to get the show off the ground. But anyways, yeah, it was a lot of fun. I just asked Charles Soule to bring back Warba. She was, I don't know. I liked her. I want her to be back in the main line. We know she went on to Hoth. Where is she? Please let me know.
Justice for Warba.
Justice for Warba, please. Or I would say Dark Champion, but he's much less interesting to me. He's just
I totally agree.
He's kind of fun. He's there.
He's like a more mild Prince Shizor.
This is and even like the boss? What is his name? Boss, whatever.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about.
His ship kind of reminded me of the Skyhook in a way. It was like above the planet, just chilling. But anyways, yeah, we're enough Shadows of the Empire. I think we've talked that to death the past week or two.
Oh, for sure.
So.
Well, all right. Well, congratulations. I don't want to. I give you a little round of applause for hitting your 50 book goal, but I don't want to peak our audio here. So yeah, you can do a little celebratory dance there. Instead of having me blow out your ears, but with the awful audio of me clapping. So, all right. We flew through that because we are excited to get on to our main topic of the night. So let's go to a quick merch break, and then we are going to come back and talk High Republic. So we'll be right back. All right. So, our main topic tonight, the High Republic. So the comics, we have two comics that have were the tail end of phase 1 of the High Republic launch. And we and the if for those of you who might not be caught up on those are the High Republic, just that called the High Republic, that launched on January 6th, and the High Republic Adventures, which is out published by IDW on February 3rd. Let's go around the room real fast before we get into it. Let's just go ahead and I want to get everybody's rankings on both of those series, and so that way we can kind of set the stage for the rest of the talk. And I'm going to go backwards this time because we normally start with Emma and go around to Jacob. So I'm going to start with Jacob. Jacob, what are your thoughts on this series, on both these series?
Yeah, so I think it's tough. I think the High Republic Marvel series definitely had a slower start for me. I've enjoyed it the whole way. I think it was like issue 5 where it really 4 or 5 where it really started to click for me. So like if I were to rate the whole first arc on average, it would be like a 7.5 or an 8, but like the past 2 issues themselves have been like maybe 9s in my book. And then the High Republic Adventures, I think I've been enjoying that the whole time. It really shocked me with how good it was right out of the gate. I would probably give that a 9.5, I think, for the whole first arc. That's been fantastic if you've been following that. It's a lot of fun, and I would not let the younger target demographic scare you off from reading this book. It is great for anyone, any age to be reading. So yeah, I give it 9.5.
Does that surprise you? Like, looking back, if you would have told yourself in February when High Republic Adventures came out that 5 issues into it you'd give it a 9.5, do you think you'd be surprised?
I think so. I think I wouldn't be surprised that I enjoyed it. I would be surprised that I enjoyed it this much, is what I would say. It really shocked me with how good it was overall, and really hasn't. I mean, in my mind, like the art's been fantastic all the way through. The story's been great. All the characters been really relatable. I would say like the one thing that it might suffer from so far is that it's hard to connect with every character just because there's so many, and like they haven't had enough time to really branch out. But I mean, it's only 5 issues in so far. Like I know the next issue is going to face on Farzala and Court, so we're going to slowly get to learn the rest of these Padawans a lot better. So yeah, it's been fantastic, and definitely would recommend it if you're sleeping on it right now.
Absolutely. Caleb, what about you? What are your thoughts on these 2 series?
Well, Jacob kind of went first, but I think I kind of agree with almost everything he said. For the first one, the High Republic, I'd give it a solid 8 out of 10. It's a really, it has all the strengths of the High Republic, like that, what the media franchise is going for. All of those are evident and relevant in that series. They have Jedi at their prime, being respected, when they go to a community, they are instantly like looked on as good people and their reputation precedes them in a very positive way. You see very positive, mentor-mentee relationships. You see them being the Jedi being a lot healthier, you can say, in this era than they were in the prequel era. So it has a lot of really great and strong character moments, but I don't know, something about High Republic Adventures puts it at a 9. It's just a little better. Like it does a lot of like, when it starts doing a first issue, you're thinking, oh, this is how the plot's going to go. But then they introduced a few extra elements. I'm not saying they do a 180, but they introduced kind of like a Fox and the Hound sort of like storytelling going on, and like divergent paths and, all like that. And it's just a really interesting way of telling a story that I really appreciate, of how kind of risky they're kind of taking it and having like a really good deep dive into the Nihil and how they do it. So I think it's just a better series overall. 9, not to say it's the other one's bad, but High Republic Adventure, I think it's a 9.
Awesome. Yeah, totally agree. Emma, what are your scores?
Yeah, so I've been seriously enjoying both of these series. If I had to pick one over the other, I'd say it'd be, High Republic Adventures would be my favorite by a hair. I enjoy how we get a balance in the High Republic Adventures between learning more about the Jedi and learning more about the Nihil. Because in the Marvel, the High Republic, I feel like we get a lot of Jedi and not a whole lot of Nihil, but we do get some Drengir, so I guess there's a little bit, of a balance there. I do like how Avar Kriss is somewhat of a focus in the High Republic. She was an intriguing character to me ever since Light of the Jedi. And Kiev Trennis is also a really cool character. In the first issue, she goes through her Jedi trials. That's like amazing to see. Anybody who likes Jedi lore, I don't think we've ever really seen that super in depth before. So getting to see that on the comic page was really awesome. And of course, High Republic Adventures, Lula is a really cool character. I keep saying that all these characters are cool, but they just are. And she's on the cover of Race to Crash Point Tower, and is going to be a pretty big part in that book. So, it's pretty important to read the High Republic Adventures. And, like Jacob said, this is something that you don't want to let the age range sort of fool you here. It's really high quality stuff, and even though it's aimed at kids, really don't let that keep you from reading it, because it's great stuff. And so for my rankings, I would give the High Republic Adventures a 9.5, and the High Republic a 9. I've really enjoyed both of them.
Yeah, I'm not going to be much different than the rest of you guys. I think I'm gonna give both of them a 9. And I think the thing that makes me the most excited about the High Republic Adventures is the way that they continue to tell a common Star Wars story of two like-minded people of Zine and Crix, and how one favors a light and one favors a dark, and how that is contrasting. And I think that is what I am enjoying the most about the High Republic Adventures, because it's such an interesting, like I said, we've seen this before. We've seen this sort of story told before, but the way that they're doing it, I mean, maybe it's just because it's the first time it's really been done from my perspective in comics with these brand new characters. I'm very excited to read every single issue when it comes out. Like I said, I haven't gotten a chance to get to the comic store to get today's issue, but I'm very much excited on it. And the High Republic, I mean, I rolled through Light of the Jedi in I think 3 days, and that momentum has carried right into the comic, and I'm just in love with consuming everything that there is about this time frame. And I kind of want to segue right into my next question is talk about our favorite characters. And Emma, you said it best. Like, Avar Kriss is technically a background character in this book, but she has a very Leia-like presence in like whenever she's in a panel, she just commands power, and it's just like, I can't wait to see what she's going to do. And that is why in the High Republic, she is one of my favorite characters. I mean, I'm loving Skier, I'm loving all the other characters there, but I'm fascinated with Avar Kriss, and I want to know more about this character. So anytime that she can be in a scene, I absolutely love it, because I want to see more of her power and just the way that she commands Jedi is just. It's really awesome, and I really enjoy seeing that character. And then again, like I said, I in High Republic Adventures, seeing the two main characters, Zine and Crix, those are visiting with them and watching their decision making. One of them in particular, which I'm sure we'll go into next. It's just, again, it's a really fascinating story where I'm like, what are they going to do next? How are they going to top this next week? So those are like high marks for me from both the books. Those are two of my three of my favorite characters. I'll let somebody else, Caleb. I'll let you jump in here and kind of let us know what some of your favorite characters are from either of these books.
Skier, he's the best.
You,
I mean,
you do tend to favor Trandoshans, don't you?
It's great to see like a Thrandoshan taken, and to even make mention of it in the books and in the series. Like, hey, he's a Thrandoshan Jedi, and that's weird, isn't it? And it's kind of good to see like different takes on like kind of classic Star Wars species and how we can play against type now, but not fully against type. There's some really great moments where, like, I think it's in the second issue where he can't just goes feral mode, like I can't sense anything here, I'm just going to take off my face mask and smell the enemies now and hunt them like wolves. And that's just some like great character development. Plus there's some moments later on where you can see his like real weakness and his shame, and that's such a like an interesting tact that I haven't really seen in these emotions explored in Star Wars. And it's from a dude with a scaly green face. It's some really good stuff. I think Skier, yes, we get the haha Thrandoshan Jedi is a good guy now, but we also have some real deep heart to him. So I think he's definitely has the best arc so far of the series. Emma, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I've been liking Skier as well. He's been having a really interesting arc. Like I said earlier, Kiev and Lula are probably my two favorite characters, two favorite main characters as a whole. And I already pretty much said why. Just love both of their journeys. That we're watching them grow up basically as Jedi, and I've always found that to be very interesting. In terms of background characters, I already mentioned Avar. I could not go without mentioning Buckets of Blood. I don't think there is no character unlike him that could make me so excited when he comes on a page. I mean, whenever he yells, "Buckets of Blood is on the scene," I'm like, yes, Buckets of Blood. It's so ironic, and I love hearing Daniel Jose Older talk about the inspiration for Buckets of Blood. And if you haven't heard about this, Buckets of Blood is inspired by an EMT that Daniel used to work with, whose nickname was Buckets of Blood, which was ironic because he's a medic. And I love that character. He brings such energy whenever he shows up, and I love Buckets of Blood. He's great.
Yeah.
Jacob, what I was gonna say, you've been quiet so far. What are some of your favorite characters here?
Those are all great, and I don't need to repeat any of them because they're all fantastic characters. But my answer on top of all of that, I don't know why. I really don't, but I love Quart so much.
Yeah.
It's so like I can't quantify it in any way because he has literally said not one intelligible word of dialogue. But he's fantastic, and I really love Harvey Tolabau's done such a good job with this character. Like there's so many, like I see him on Twitter all the time with like little screen grabs of him in the background just doing something like ridiculous and hilarious, like his eyes are crossed, like pretend he's dead, or like holding like the baked treats that are a recurring theme in High Republic Adventures. There's so many just like funny like moments with Quart that I really am excited for him to show up more in the next arc, because I love him unconditionally, and I can't wait to see what he's like when he's actually has more room to breathe.
Yeah, he's a great character, and you got to imagine that he's been included for a reason. So there has to be something that is going to bring him closer to the front. And as Blind Fates says in the chat, plus he also looks cool, which I mean, yeah, that's
cool.
That's an absolute plus on his for his character. So I'd like to like, what are some of our, let's talk about a little bit of some of our either our favorite panels or favorite moments, and I want to start with the High Republic. We've given a lot of love to the High Republic Ventures, so we'll save that for a minute. But let's start with the High Republic, and I'm gonna go right back to you, Jacob, and ask what are some of you either your favorite panels in particular, or favorite mini arc from some of these books.
I'm trying to think of one that would be not spoiling anything. So I will go something that's already been discussed and was kind of given away as the premise of the book before it even came out, which was the Knighting of Kiev. I think that whole process of seeing her undergo that is so cool, because I've read enough, or I've seen enough like EU material to see a few other cases of knighting. The one that like I just read actually recently was Seer Junda's knighting in Dark Temple.
Oh yeah.
And that was
yep.
like it was a cool experience and everything, but like at the end it was just like, all right, cool, you're like you're rise, you're now a knight. And like Kiev had such a different process that she went through. I mean, both of them are, I guess, non-traditional in a way, but seeing what she had to experience and what she had to go through to achieve that rank, I think was very cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Caleb, I'm gonna come to you next. What are maybe a scene or a panel that jumps out to you?
When I was rereading the comics earlier, there's one little thing that came out. It's in one of the latest issues, but not to be spoiler, it shows Avar Chris, and she's in a fight because comics need action, and it was still a good fight, but she was suddenly running away, and you noticed that she had her hand out. And I didn't notice the first time when I was reading, but during the reread, she wasn't holding her lightsaber. She was having it hover like 6 inches in front of her and rapidly spinning, kind of like a Inquisitor.
She did that in Light of the Jedi as like a meditation thing, right?
Yeah, but it was like
she on
rapidly
Hetzel?
spinning to deflect blaster bolts. And it's one of those minor things you didn't notice unless you're like
right.
specifically going through it. And that was, they've done a lot of fun things with the Force and, you know, characters with that, you know, doing some gardening and all like that. But anytime you get to see like a weird, unusual use of like the Force like that, that's always fun.
So you're saying like she did like this?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Just like it, but it was like hovering like 6 inches out from her hand.
Oop. Come on.
This is
bro.
the
Yeah,
if you don't know, this is the out of print limited edition cover for the upcoming book, Rising Storm. Thank you.
Yeah,
I was about to say Out of the Shadows, and I'm like, nope, that's not it. It's the other one. This I mean, and I think we can all agree, like, what they're doing for the Jedi to add to the Jedi lore of how just badass they can be. That's the most fun element of this, right? I mean, there are deeper elements, and there are other things that are cool, but that's the most fun part about the High Republic. Emma, I mean, am I wrong in saying that?
Oh, you're so right. I mean, there's so many unique Jedi abilities, Jedi uses of the Force that we've seen in the High Republic, and it's always just so much fun to see, honestly. I mean, you know, Avar Chris has some pretty cool abilities, like in Light of the Jedi. Oh yeah, Jacob here, he's pulled up. What I was gonna say was my favorite panel. Avar Chris, just a splash page of her just absolutely wrecking a Drengir. And
Yes.
I mean, she is so badass in this comic series. And Tyler, I like your comparison to Leia earlier. I thought that was great because she does command the page, and she's also a super duper badass. And we love that about both of them. They're great.
Yes. Yeah, my one element that stuck out to me, I will be as non-spoiler as possible, but my favorite little mini section of these books, secure, there's I'm putting an extra syllable in there, when they were on, they're on a particular ship, and they're advancing through some fog because the Nihil had already been there, and to see him kind of sort of in his natural element was really, yeah, Jacob's got this splash page. That this is kind of how this whole process ends, is this panel right here. But seeing him really as go back to his Trandoshan elements of sniffing out the his enemies,
His prey.
His prey, thank you. And then it was kind of, and it again, it kind of is a precursor to some of the things that happen later on in the books, because he notices that that he had a little bit more trouble than he should have. But that was just, it was a really cool element to have him be able to highlight his own personality and something that is unique to just him. Like, you can't have that sort of scene with I mean, you might be able to have it with Burry Yaga for, to a certain extent, but that was just a really cool, really different scene for me, and that was just something that even now that I remember, because I believe that was in issue 2.
Yes, that
that
was too.
still sticks out to me. It's just a really, really cool scene, and the way that whole little mini scene ends, and the splash page that we saw, and the what else they find on that ship. It was just really fun. It was just a really cool scene. So I don't want to get it's hard to talk about for me to ask this question without anybody going into spoilers, but I will say, what's one thing that each of you is excited about for the future of these 2 books? And let's go ahead and start. Let's go over to the High Republic Adventures now. Let's start with, if anybody here has wants to make sure they go first and make sure that they have a point that they want to make first, I will give you the opportunity to speak up now before I call on somebody. And
I can go.
There you go.
Yeah,
go for it.
I will, again, no spoilers. There are mysteries and large, very important, like full High Republic spanning details that are being fleshed out in this comic book right now, that are going to have very big impacts on the story as a whole. And if we get those, if those start to get explored, I would say before the Rising Storm comes out, which it won't, because there's only one issue that comes out between now and then. But it is a very exciting time to be reading those comic books, and I really hope we get, even though we're probably going to see more of it in the Rising Storm before we see it in this comic, I really hope to see even more detail come out. So if you know, but hopefully I was vague enough that look, there are very exciting. We've said it a lot. There are very exciting things happening in this comic book right now, and I can't wait to see where they go.
Yeah, totally. There's and that is what I am most excited for here is, Kevin said something in his interview on the High Republic show that really stuck out to me. Is his inspiration for Star Wars came from the comics in the late 1970s, and basically what he had said was they didn't have a script, they didn't have a additional movies, so they kind of did, it was kind of the Wild West, and they could kind of do whatever they want. And he even said it in that clip when I was watching that for preparation for the show tonight. That's kind of what made me is what I'm excited about for this. Is he kind of compared that time to what they're doing in the High Republic now, because there is no I think his exact quote was, there is no story to refer to because this is the story. And it's so cool to have this completely untouched moment of time, and it's so different than what we get in the prequel trilogy or in the prequel era, that I'm excited to see how we go from where we're at to that. And it probably won't really be discussed too much in the comics, but I'm eager to see the side stories that complement the novels expressed in the art of the book, because that's I cannot wait to see that. It's probably a few years down the road, but that is just something I cannot wait to see. Emma, what about you?
Yeah, I'm really excited to see what's going to happen with both of these series now that we're moving on to, what is it, phase or wave? I can't remember.
So it's wave 2 of phase 1. Okay. I think we said that incorrect earlier, but yeah, phase 1, we're not exactly sure when it's going to end, but it's sometime in 2022. So we might have another set of books coming before the end of the wave or phase, but we'll see.
Got you. Okay. So yeah, I'm excited to see what happens now that we're moving into wave 2 of phase 1. There we go. And just how they're going to tie into the events in that. Like, are we going to see anything from the Republic Fair? Stuff on Velo, anything like that. Ram, Jama Ram, who is also on the cover of Race to Crosspoint Tower by Daniel Jose Older. Are we going to get some of him in the Adventures comics?
Yes.
Yeah, really?
He's on the cover of the Free Comic Book Day Adventures issue.
Oh my gosh, I
So,
didn't know
yes.
that. That's exciting. That's exciting. Cool. I always love another Jedi with a yellow lightsaber. You know, I'm a sucker for yellow lightsabers. No, just joking. But yeah, I just can't wait to see what happens now with the second wave, because it feels as though these two comics have really tied in well with the first wave. And now I'm wondering if we're gonna get some the next arc of both of these being more focused on the second wave.
Yeah, say hello to your friend. Yeah, this is
Oh, there he is.
the issue that'll be out with Zine, Lula, and Ram, and that will be out. Let's see, when's August 14th is Free Comic Book Day this year.
Oh, nice.
So make sure you pick up that.
It's a cool cover.
If you're newer to comics, it is, yes, literally most of your you can check on, like, if your LCS contributes. It's obviously, if you're gonna go in, spend some money. Don't just like walk in and be that guy and just like swoop up a bunch of free comic books. It's cool to get like little tastes of everything. All of these are just kind of like preview issues. I think there might be something maybe for the Edge of Balance manga. I think there might be a preview for that. But yeah, spend some money while you're there. It's just kind of a fun time to get in an LCS. So
yeah, and this they've really started to ramp up the anticipation for this next wave of titles and stories, and that was kind of highlighted in the High Republic show last week, because they had a good, Caleb, what was it, like 12 13 minutes, right?
Exactly.
With
If you haven't-
Kevin and Ario. Tell us, for if you haven't seen it, Caleb, why don't you give a little summary about who was featured in that video and kind of the things that they talked about.
Exactly. If you haven't seen the High Republic show on the official Star Wars YouTube page, it essentially is about a 30-minute bi-weekly show they put on to talk about the big news, the big events that are kind of happening on. So in this latest episode, they had a couple of guest stars on for it, roundtable interview. They had, as we mentioned, the writer Kevin Scott, his artist Ario Antito, and his senior editor Robert Simpson, who works not only with that one but also with the High Republic Adventures. So he had a lot of good things to say between them. So they talked a little bit about the behind the scenes, what they like drawing, what they like talking about, how it takes roughly, it's a 3-month process from beginning to end, from inception to writing to actually put a comic out into stores. A lot of, fun little tidbits. Kevin talked about, just kind of like, as we just experienced ourselves with this show, the more you work with different people, the better you get. We had to do quite a few practice runs for our, for this very podcast until we started feeling comfortable. So, Kevin talked about he and Ario got together and started just doing some, minor things before they finally got together and got all their characters, together and managed to work really well. And, in case you're wondering if you want to get into thing, Ario talks about how he does about a page per day. So, if your average comic has about 22-ish pages, then he can, hammer that out in a month, and that's a pretty reasonable amount of time here. So, a lot of, just fun back and forth there. One thing Kevin talked, as we already talked about, is how he got into the, Star Wars with the 70s Marvel, and how it was kind of the Wild West. He could do whatever he wanted. So, and that's really exciting. And to hammer home like a slightly different point, one thing I'm kind of excited about this series is that we don't know how any of these characters' stories are going to end.
Right.
And
except Yoda, of course.
Except Yoda, yeah.
That's true.
Of course. That goes without saying. Yeah.
Yoda,
exactly.
Yariel
that would be
Poof.
the ultimate twist. He was like ghost all along.
Yeah. There's like 2 Grandmasters that obviously aren't in the prequel, so they probably die. And we kind of maybe know how Keith Trinus ends, but it's still, I guess, speculation until we know for sure. But
The High Republic, all about death.
Everyone you know and love will be dead in 300 years, so it doesn't matter anyways.
So it's like a longer Rogue One. Is that what you're saying?
There you
Yeah,
go.
that's true.
Yeah, that's, if you want to put the morbidity on this, absolutely, that's the way to think about it.
F's in the chat for literally everyone in the High Republic except for Yoda and Yariel Poof.
Yeah, pretty much.
Exactly.
Is Oppo Rancisis around? I don't think so. But
Oh, maybe. I'm just
he
trying to think of like
seems
the
so
super old
ancient
people.
that he kind of, yeah, I don't know. Or who knows? Maybe what's the camel Jedi from the Clone Wars?
Terrace Nube.
Yeah, Terrace
yes.
Nube. We know he was around in Dooku Jedi Lost as an old man already at that point. So he, maybe he's a Padawan. That'd be hilarious.
Oh my god, that'd be so funny. And he still has a cane.
Yeah. He's born old.
Like,
I feel like he's got to make at least a background appearance. At least he's in the back of a panel somewhere in the archives, still bumbling around.
Yes.
Exactly. Was it not Craigs, but the other Padawan with the sideburns?
Farzala?
Yeah,
sorry,
Farzala. Like every
yeah.
time I see him, it's like that's a 40-year-old man in a kid's body just because of these sideburns he makes. It's like he's the mature one here.
That's hilarious.
I know one of the things that I was interested in was they kind of had a time to really talk about how personal some personal stories. Like I said, Cavan had mentioned that he really got into the fandom with the 70s Marvel run because as he put it, there was a sense of wonder, and the creators had these wide open spaces because they didn't have anything else to go on. They didn't have a story that had to be shoehorned in and characters that needed to be put into a certain place before that we get to the next show or the next movie. And I found that really, to know that that's what made him interested in and into the fandom. And now that he gets to kind of, as they said on the show, kind of allows him to come full circle. And now he's the one doing that. Again, that is what I'm most excited, because this is a very different time frame from what we are used to, and something has to go wrong, and it's going to be epic when we get there.
I just had a sudden minor aside there. He was talking about how the 1970s comic was kind of freeform and they could do whatever they want. But I remember the first major arc after they told the story of the movie was they ripped off the Magnificent Seven.
Dude, that's been done in Star Wars like a billion times.
I know, but the first thing they could do, what are we going to do with this giant universe? Rip off of a famous black and white movie? Deal.
Like, you said George like Kurosawa? Okay, let's throw it in there. Whatever. It's fine. Ignore the fact that 40 years later, we're also going to put it in the Clone Wars and also put it in the Mandalorian. And I'm sure there are modern canon comic books that do it as well that I can't think of right now. Like, it's everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Oh yeah.
So Emma, what were some of your some of the things that you found notable in this High Republic video? We talked about Cavan, but there was also a lot of time that we spent with both Ario and Robert. Was there anything from them that really stood out to you?
Yeah, so Ario revealed to us that he's only been drawing professionally since 2012, and he really tries to show the emotion of each character by putting himself in their shoes. And I actually found something that he was saying about Kiev to be really interesting. He was saying that whenever he draws Kiev, it's almost like she comes alive on the page for him, like automatically. And I found that interesting because it kind of makes sense that there's a character or two that an artist really connects with. Because you must imagine, like, he draws a ton of panels with Kiev in them,
Right?
And it just so happens that she just really works for his style, and I thought that was really, really cool to hear. And Jacob, then in terms, yeah, go ahead.
Jacob, was it the end of issue 5 where we were commenting about that in the Slack channel? It was either issue 4 or issue 5. There's a very emotional scene.
Oh,
and it was 5. It was at the end of 5. It was the end of 5.
Yeah, and it was interesting that he brought that up, because I remember we were all talking about that in the Slack, about the emotion in that particular panel.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, as much as we have like our art of the week, and we celebrate and we love comic book art, I think it's very rare to find one, just like, not even a page, a singular panel that makes as big of an impact as that one did.
Yeah, 100%. He draws her just so well. I mean, every week that a new issue of the High Republic comes out, we could easily pick like every single page in there for our art of the week, but we don't because of spoilers. But it's so good, and he does a great job with it for sure. And Kiev is already such an interesting character with what Cavan writes, and then what Ario draws just adds so much more to it. And I loved hearing about that.
Yeah. But yeah, something he's been drawing a lot, been able to play with a lot. This first arc is the Dringir, which is one of our main antagonistic forces of the High Republic so far. And he talked about how much he loved like horror and monsters and all like that kind of genre. And it's very cool to be able to explore that. I mean, you don't always get. I mean, Darth Vader aside, you don't get to play with horror elements as much in Star Wars, at least right now. I mean, I love me some Galaxy of Fear, don't get me wrong, but it's not as common. So he got the concept art. I think I want to say Grant Griffin might have done the concept art for the earliest forms of the Drengir. I know it showed up in the Target version of Dark Legends, believe it or not. So you got that and kind of got to work with it and play with it. And I mean, his work speaks for itself. They look great so far. They're really, I mean, they feel like a real threat. And I think, honestly, right now he's probably one of, if not my favorite Star Wars artist. Like the work he's just been doing so far has been fantastic. So to see him bring that villain, I mean, it's not a singular villain, but I mean that villainous force to life in this way has been fantastic, and I'm excited to see what he does more. I can't wait to see what he does with. Not spoilers. Orla comes up in the comics. She's on a cover, but Orla Jarini. I really want to see what he does with her when she shows up.
It was much easier to read Into the Dark, knowing that the concept art was out there. And seeing some of that work, it was easier to go back. It was very hard for me to really get in my mind's eye a picture of what the Drengir was from that book. But once I was able to get Ario's work, it clicked so much better because of the way that he can somehow draw these living plants as horrible, abominable creatures that strike fear in somebody as strong as a Jedi.
Plants that hunger for flesh.
Yeah, one thing we actually haven't really talked about a lot is our third member of this panel on the High Republic show, which was Robert Simpson, who is the senior editor for these comics right now. And he had a really cool backstory. Like I haven't, it's. We try and make ourselves familiar with the artists, and we try and make ourselves familiar with the writers, but we don't really look at like these higher like executive level like members of the team and
the editors.
I didn't know producers. This job was a thing. I mean, until he mentioned it.
It's always in like the front of the comic books, but I mean, like I read them, I try and like figure out who's important, but I kind of skip all of like the editor in chief and all that stuff. That's something I kind of like just gloss over. But something he talked about was like he's been with Marvel since the 80s. And let me see if I can. Okay, but yeah, like all these people at the bottom of the page, like I'm like, okay, well, I mean, they're great, I love them, but I don't really. That's not what I'm really paying attention to as much. Yeah, there's his name, Robert Simpson, senior editor. He's been there all along. We just never noticed him. But he talked about like he was an intern for Marvel in the 80s at 16 years old and got to help out with the like original adaptation of Return of the Jedi for comic books. Like he was like erasing the extra pencil lines that the artist sent to him so they could go send it off to photography. Like that's like the guy's been in Star Wars for longer than I've been alive, which is pretty crazy to think about. And just see this guy come all the way and now be a senior editor on all these books is pretty crazy. Like, I can't imagine being in the job I was when I was 16, as someone who's, 40, 50 years old. It's pretty insane.
Exactly. And, we don't talk about like these high level producer sort of things, but, it's great to have someone who's been like overall, like looking at all these Star Wars comics and kind of guiding them along. And we're definitely seeing the culmination of that with the, War of the Bounty Hunters and everything that's, culminating together. So, we look at these names and think, oh, they probably have like a fingerprint in them or a little bit in this, but like, the amount of pre-work that goes to just greenlighting a series, like they probably worked like for months and months on just getting like series lined up. They probably had, for every one series we see, there's probably 6 that died on the drawing room floor,
Yeah, that was one of the things that really jumped out to me is when he said that there's a lot of planning that goes back and forth, and that the lines are working together to help elevate each other. And we all know what happens when you don't have a continuous story. I'm not going to go into it. We don't need to. We're not negative here in the Youtini communities, but if you know, you know, and if you're listening to this show, you probably know what I'm talking about. So it's very encouraging to know that they are, and this isn't the first time that they've mentioned it either. Any single time I've seen anybody that's involved with the High Republic project, they're consistently hitting, almost as if they're being told to, how much they're working together to make sure all the stories fit. And it's just, thank you to all of you creators who are working together. Thank you for giving us as the fans a trust that there is a through line, and that you know what you're doing, and that you have a beginning, you have a middle, you have an end. Emma, I don't think I need to say anything more about that, but I wanted to know if you had any thoughts.
No, I totally agree, and I think it's interesting what you said about what Rob said about how the lines working together and they elevate each other. That was all really interesting in terms of like the overall world building. And speaking of the world building, Kevin was talking about the Hutt Cartel and how it sort of expands on the version of Jabba the Hutt we get from Return of the Jedi, because the Hutts are mobile now, or more mobile now. Kind of like Gracchus the Hutt in the Poe Dameron series, some Hutts are mobile, or at least more so than Jabba, who literally sits in the same spot the whole time. And this is the beginning of the Hutt Cartel as we see them in the main timeline in the High Republic. So I'm going to start with Jacob. What do you think about the Hutt Cartel being shown so early on in the overall main timeline, and what do you think of their portrayal thus far?
It's been, I think we're still pretty early on. Obviously, we're gonna have some more coming up. There was a little bit of talk of them in was it Into the Dark? Had a little bit of discussion about the Hutt Cartel. We're getting some now. It's been exciting. I think it's really cool to be reading this at the same time as War of the Bounty Hunters, where we're seeing a lot of the expansion of the cartel just beyond Jabba. Like we had some of that in the Clone Wars, but this is we're getting a good expansion of the Hutts as a galactic force. And we might see a little bit of they obviously hold their own right now in the High Republic timeline, but I think we're going to see them positioning for power in the status quo we arrive to in the prequel trilogy. So I would, they're going to be making some deals with the Republic expanding out into the Outer Rim, and I think we'll see more of why they are so successful and so have such a long period of success, for at least 300 plus years, really, of having at least some decent control over a portion of the galaxy. So hey, Hutts
we can't talk about the Hutts. So. We can't talk about the Hutts without talking about how they're not all fat slobs.
No, and there are jacked Hutts.
There are jacked Hutts.
How's so weird to say.
How's that saying go? As the light rises, the dark will rise to meet it. So instead of having Sith, the dark side gave us jacked Hutts.
Jacked Hutts.
Oh my gosh,
jacked
was. There is a scene that it's Gracchus, right?
No, it was like a minor Hutt that it could kill off. Maybe
Darth Vader 12, I think was.
Oh, that's right.
Oh, yeah. I can't think of his name right now.
I mean, like
they all run together. So
they do. They're all Hutts.
They're all it's an interesting,
some are fatter than others.
It's an interesting adversary because we see the Nihil, but they're kept to the novels, and the Hutts have always been lurking, but they've been a minor player. So it's going to be interesting to see how they're brought up.
It is
throughout this
Boku
era.
the Hutt.
That's right.
Boku the Hutt. Yes, the aka Jacked Hutt.
Jacked Hutt.
Muscles Hutt.
6-pack ripped Hutt. It's weird.
That was not a 6-pack.
Pizza the Hutt.
I'm counting now. I'm staring at it. It makes me uncomfortable, but it exists. All right. Right.
That's great. So I was mentioning earlier about Ario's love of drawing Kiev, and Rob also mentioned that he loves to read Kiev. That she's his favorite character, and that he really enjoys a sense of discovery through her eyes. And I 100% agree with that. And in the video, when they were talking about their favorite characters to create and read, Cavan mentioned how much he loves Skier. And he also dropped this really interesting tidbit that he wasn't originally going to be Kiev's master,
Right,
and that
right.
once the connection was made, the rest of the story kind of clicked together. So maybe it was the Force working. That's all I gotta say. And Cavan completely scrapped the first issue and started over because of this sort of dynamic between Kiev and Skier. And the master and apprentice relationship is the sort of foundation of the series once Cavan kind of decided that Skier was going to be Kiev's master. So, Tyler, what do you think about Skier and Kiev's relationship? Is it unique to you?
I think it will be, because I think that there is going to be such the fact that the Drengir are a part of this arc. I'm not going to go into any more detail there. I think that is going to add a very unique element to this newly promoted Jedi Knight, that we haven't, again, we've seen this story before, we've seen this master and apprentice story before, but they still find ways to add unique elements to it to make it different than what we've gotten. And so I'm really interested to see how that the Drangir's involvement will affect their relationship. And I think that's the thing that when it comes to those two characters that I'm most excited for.
Yeah. Let's throw to a quick chat question. We got one from B Nasty asking about favorite characters on covers from the High Republic. We don't have anything prepared, but I don't know if people have. I mean, obviously, I was able to grab a variant cover from near me, but I don't know if anyone has like a favorite character cover. I mean,
don't grab my cover.
I grabbed a different one that I'm guessing.
Okay,
you got.
good.
So what do you? I don't know if this counts because I think this is going to be a regular cover if it hasn't been already.
It doesn't have to be a variant. I can.
It doesn't have to be.
Give me
Okay.
something. I'll see if I can find it.
It was Avar riding a Rancor.
Oh yeah.
I was
sorry,
about
Caleb.
to do that.
It's just so
that.
cool. It's just amazing. So
like,
yeah, Caleb.
Yeah.
Jacob is going to try to pull this up here really quickly. I mean, like we were saying earlier, Avar is such a badass, and
Issue
it's
6.
just extra
Six?
badass
Oh, 6.
to be riding a Rancor. I mean, Luke couldn't tame that Rancor with a bone, and Avar can ride it. She obviously has a very strong Force connection to this Rancor, and so
I got it.
here we go. I think he's got it finally. I'm stalling for time.
Zoom thing out of there, and there we go.
There we go. Oh
Ta-da.
my gosh, how cool is that? I mean, I love how you can tell that the Rancor is so much bigger than Avar is. I mean, she's just a tiny little speck up there. It's so great.
And our great thing is we can instantly tell, oh, that's Avar Chris, because
Yeah,
she
right.
already has like
Right.
a character defining look, and we all know her look, which is really good.
That's a good
So-
point.
Yeah. So because she, Emma sniped mine, I'm going to have to scramble around here. And I looked at, there's a variant cover for issue 6 that's going to be coming out, and it has Kiev like as a nice like almost Japanese like watercolor painting there.
I know what you're talking about.
And I was just kind of scrolling through like desperately. I need something that instantly brought my attention. Like, oh,
I think
that's
it's a 1 in 25. What's it called? Incentive cover.
sure.
Yep. New tab. That's the thing I was looking for. And
Like some
Here we
people
go.
think it might be almost like a false advertisement of like when the cover art doesn't match the interior art, but I always find it as like a bonus. Like, look at the same character, but from a different perspective, because we all know what Han looks like in the movies, but there's like hundreds of different variations of how the artist can take it. I love it when someone doesn't try to make the character model look like, say, Harrison Ford, but instead look more like Han Solo. So, I just really am attracted to variants that change character like concepts in a subtle way that you can still tell who it is, but in a different way.
Right. I'm shocked, Tyler. I'm gonna guess you're gonna hit Mike Mayhew because we have not hit one of those, which is very surprising.
Yeah, I'm gonna hit my Mayhew covers here. This is my boy Stellan Gios trying to make
signed one. I forgot about that.
To where the glare isn't that bad, but I don't like. I want all of this stuff just on regular art. Like I this has never been open, but he has an Avar Chris. He has a Stellan Gios. Shout out to everybody in the EU Comics chat that has started this bad process, this bad collection for me, and has continued.
You mean the Enablers channel?
The Enablers channel.
that and Star Wars
and I am a part of it as well. I have done my fair share. But in all seriousness, like I would have never known these things are out here without the people in that in that channel sharing these links, and I love all of his work. I've found this one, the Avar Chris. He has a Boba Fett one that I still haven't gotten around to purchasing yet because I keep meaning to. He's got a Boba Fett one that for War of the Bounty Hunters. Mike Mayhew covers look outstanding. I mean, we could do a whole episode just on his covers. But yeah, any of his covers, I don't, Caleb or not Caleb, Jacob. I don't know if that's the one that you were going to grab there,
no.
but okay, yeah, his covers are great. All of these covers are great.
Yeah, no, the one I was gonna grab, yeah, Mike Mayhew's are great. Stellan's the only one I actually grabbed, but I'm gonna show off. This one is this is for High Republic number 4. I got this really cool watercolor, like cathedral-y kind of looking thing for Avar Chris. It's by artist Koi Pham, and I end up getting the Virgin because I love this so much. It's one of my favorites that I own so far, but I will give an honorable mention to the Vernestra Row cover for issue 6 that's coming out. Well, I guess what,
That was
a couple weeks from now, or
yeah, something like that.
yeah, this I was
oh,
like,
that's so cool.
Yeah, it's super cool from Unknown Comics. I love Vernestra so much, so I was like, when this right before this got announced, I'm like, I know what, I'm done buying variant covers for a while. I don't need it. I'm okay. Like I was like, I committed to getting the connecting covers for War of the Bounty Hunters, but other than that, I was like, I'm good. And then they're like, hey, Vern cover. I'm like, all right, cool, whatever. I'm a little disappointed that they didn't show her light whip.
Right?
Yeah.
But I mean, it's still fantastic. It's her first solo cover, so I had to pick that one up.
Yeah, that's so cool. So cool. I mean, but at the same time, you saying that you're not going to get any extra variant covers is like me saying I'm not going to buy a Funko this month. It's just going to happen.
How did you buy 3 today?
Maybe.
Tyler, did you also buy 3 today?
We're moving on. There were other announcements that were made in this video. Jacob, why don't you tell us about the big announcement from this video so we can avoid the shaming of our collections.
Right. So the big thing that came out in the video, we talked a little bit about it. Was it whenever it was announced 2 weeks ago, is Trail of Shadows is a brand new miniseries we're getting from Marvel in the fall. So we're really excited about this. It is a miniseries. From what I can gather, I would imagine set after the wave of books with the Rising Storm leading that. So this is written by Daniel Jose Older, art by David Wachter, colors by Giada Marchisio, the covers from David Lopez, and this art we're seeing right now is actually a variant cover for issue 1 from our favorite Ario Anandito. But yeah, it's a mini-series, and the premise is, quote, following the shocking events of the Republic Fair, the Jedi call upon one of their own, Emmerich Kaftor, to investigate a strange mystery with ties to the Jedi Order. At the same time, Chancellor Lena So calls upon Cyan Holt, a high-end, in-demand private detective, to look into the same mystery. But will either solve this riddle before anyone else dies? I mean, probably not.
Probably not.
No. So, yeah, a murder mystery comic in the High Republic with a Jedi and a non-Jedi pair. We were told there was a great write-up on StarWars.com. We were told it was going to have like shades of like X-Files in it. So that predates me by a few years, but I'm sure maybe Tyler or Caleb might mean a little bit more to them.
Didn't really watch it. Probably Fringe would be the other show that a lot of people that I bounced off Fringe kind of hard in the later seasons. Anyway, what I'm getting at is I'm super excited about this.
Yes,
as I said,
too.
when my art of the week with the Agent of the Empire, I loved it when Star Wars did wild, like, we're going to take other genres and put it in here. So they did the James Bond 007 thing. So I'm like, I sure hope that she has a smoking problem and likes to speak in internal monologues about the scumbag of a city and the stench of the unwashed dredges. Like, I probably won't go to that extreme, but am super excited about like a private investigator working with a Jedi to solve the tough case. I am beyond the moon about this one.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I love when Star Wars sort of takes major inspiration from specific genres. Like, the specific example I can think of is the horror genre with Tales from Vader's Castle, and that's a comic specific example. And now we're getting mystery in this comic, and oh my gosh, I can't wait. And I always love seeing how Jedi work with non-Jedi, and I think especially in the High Republic, it's going to be very interesting to see how the Jedi work on an official mission with someone who is not of the Jedi Order. So yeah, I can't wait for this. And Daniel Jose Older has absolutely been killing it with the High Republic Adventures, and I'm sure he's going to kill it with this one. So I can't wait.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see him transition from the IDW to the Marvel series, just to see if his writing changes a little bit. We'll get a little preview with the Forlom and Zuckuss. He has a one-shot coming out for Marvel with War of the Bounty Hunters pretty soon, so we can read up on that. But yeah, I think he's been one of my favorite. I mean, they've all been doing so well, all the authors in the High Republic right now, but one of my favorite authors so far overall for this initiative. So I'm really excited to see what he can do with a mini series. And one thing I really, it's exciting to see miniseries specifically because I really love like long extended runs. Like Star Wars 2015 is fantastic, but when you have a miniseries, you can kind of focus more on just like, hey, I'm going to tell one story. We're not worried about throwing like cliffhangers in every issue. Like, we're just going to tell you one like complete story front to back, and that's it. So I think there are some benefits to miniseries. Like, think of Rise of Kylo Ren. That's just like a solid story from start to finish. And I think, you know, as much as we would love for this, you know, them to spend a whole lot of time telling this story, I think five or six issues, we don't know how much it's going to be. I think it's going to be a great amount of time to tell this little arc.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm really excited. You know, when Into the Dark was coming out, I was excited about the concept of, you know, a Jedi teaming up with a non-Jedi. But Wraith and Affy didn't team up as much as I thought, and I really think that this series with Emmerich and Cyan, this is what I was hoping to get from Into the Dark, and so I'm really excited about that, because I always love, you know, we're not, you know, we in the world, you know, in the normal world, in the non-Star Wars world, we're non-Jedi, so it's always nice to see the, you know, a character that you can relate to, you know, dealing with these mystic magicians and how that those sort of dynamics work. So I always enjoy seeing those two worlds come together and play off of each other. So that's something that I can't wait. They did say, did they give a release date, or did they just say it's fall? Towards fall at the end of or after the novel releases. So
right.
All right, as we wrap up, I will go around the room and have everybody give their final thoughts on their High Republic. Emma, I'm going to start with you.
Yeah, I mean, everything High Republic, from the books to the comics to the art, has all just been really amazing. And these two series are no different. And I'm sure the Trail of Shadows is also going to be no different. It's all just high quality stuff, and nothing like the High Republic makes me so excited nowadays. And I just can't wait for more of it. It's great stuff.
Jacob,
Absolutely.
your final thoughts?
Yeah, it's like the High Republic it's been something that's been so exciting for me. It's, just like this next big wave of content. They built it up so well. I mean, I've literally read everything like I've read I got the Great Jedi Rescue behind me. It is a book for literal children, and I still read it and I enjoyed it,
And it was awesome.
Great stickers inside it. So I mean, I've been loving this so far, and the comics are no exception. So yeah, I love it. I mean, what else can I say?
Exactly.
Caleb, final thoughts.
I am very excited. I sure hope that they still put a lot of effort and, this continued level of great effort and great material out into High Republic. I'm going to rub it into the casual friends' faces when they finally do make the High Republic television show, or at least an animated series, and be like, I know all these characters and I'll tell you which ones are the best. I'm going to lord that over them so hard. It's going to be great.
But no gatekeeping though. We don't
no
do
gatekeeping. Just pride that I got on early, and
Yes.
I can share the joy with them. That's why we're here, is to share joy, not gatekeep. But maybe it'll be a little rub it in, just a little.
There's not much I can add. The High Republic has been great. I am so eager and excited to consume every new piece of medium that comes out, and Daniel Jose Older has been crushing it. I'm so looking forward to this comic. The more comics we have, the better, and there's so many stories to tell. I'm just excited. So that's there's not really a whole much more to say. So we're just gonna leave it at that, and that'll go ahead and do it for this week's episode of the Cosmic Force. Don't forget to subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts, or subscribe right here on youtube.com/Youtini, so you can get those notifications when we go live every Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Next week we have another special guest. If you are a frequent our YouTube channel and you watch some of our original content here on the YouTube channel, you might have an idea of who it is, but I'm going to leave that as a mini tune in next week, so you can figure that out next week. If you like what you hear, please make sure to leave us reviews on iTunes. Give us thumbs up on the videos. We love the support. We do this for the support and the appreciation of all of you fans out there. It's such a fun thing for us to do, and we really appreciate whenever you all give us some kudos and really give us some appreciation for what we're doing. It makes it that much more fun. We encourage you to join our Youtini Discord by going to youtini.com/Discord. See, there's the link that I was looking for at the beginning of the show. If you'd like to help support the show, go to patreon.com/Youtini and start receiving exclusive perks starting at just $5 a month. A special thank you to Cheryl Bell, Patrick Ortiz, and Carl Sander on our Jedi High Council level, as well as Elizabeth Cloutier, Jason Mitchell, Freddie C., and Sally and Chris Eilerson on our Alliance High Command for their amazing support. Thank you. You can tweet the show at Cosmic Force Show, or each of us individually. I'm at Ty Rags, Emma is at Irma Jedi 26, Caleb is at Caleb Lamanek, and Jacob is at Jacob Bosch. Thank you again to all of my hosts. Thank you to everybody in the chat for participating tonight. Again, you guys are awesome and really making it that much more fun when you guys are interactive like you are, and wherever and whenever you are listening to this episode on your favorite podcast network, we thank you as well, and we really do appreciate all of your support. Until next time, may the Force be with you, and we will see you next week.